Jennings looked round for somewhere to hide, but even as he did so, he knew that it was hopeless. It is difficult to appear calm and collected when one is carrying a suspicious-looking object, but Jennings did his best. He smiled and said, "Good afternoon, sir. Jolly decent of the General to ask for a half-holiday, wasn't it, sir?" Mr. Carter was looking at the pane of glass, and his mind was seeking some explanation. "What have you got there?" he asked. "A portable windscreen?" "No, sir, just a piece of glass, sir." "I can see that. Rather a dusty piece, too." "Yes, sir." Jennings found the conversation difficult to maintain. He looked down at the glass as though surprised to find that he was carrying it. "Yes, it is rather dusty, sir, when you come to look at it. It might be a good idea if I cleaned it, don't you think, sir?" "Why, Jennings?" "Well, sir." "Why? What on earth could he say?" "Well, sir, then you'd be able to see through it better, sir." Then, surprisingly, Mr. Carter said, "Run along then, Jennings." No, don't run or you'll drop it. Walk along very carefully." He watched the boys till they were out of sight. Clearly, they were on their way to carry out some urgent repair work, but, and here Mr. Carter furrowed his brow in deep concentration, wherever had they found that pane of glass? He could have asked them outright, of course, but he had a fancy for letting things work themselves out to their logical conclusion. He could afford to wait. He knew, from experience, that he would find out the details sooner or later. As they slipped out through the side door, Darbishire turned to Jennings with a little nervous laugh. "Phew, what a bish," he said. "Fancy running slap-bang-doing into Mr. Carter like that. You don't think he's suspecting anything, do you?" "No, of course not. He probably thought that we were just, Jennings searched his mind for some good reason to excuse their odd behaviour. "Well, there's no actual school rule that says you can't walk along a corridor carrying a pane of glass, is there?" Away to their left, the cricket field was dotted with magenta and white blazers as the schools settled down to enjoy the half-holiday. And in the distance, Jennings caught sight of the headmaster's visitors emerging from the cricket pavilion. The boys hurried to the gap in the hedge and crawled through. The new pane of glass fitted the cucumber frame well enough. "Looks fine, doesn't it, Darby?" said Jennings. "Smashing," his friend agreed. Then, seeing Jennings wince, added, "Well, you know what I mean." They carried the remnants of the broken pane to the potting shed and hid them behind a row of flower pots. Quickly, Jennings stepped outside, then just as quickly stepped back in again, pulling Darbishire down into the cover afforded by a large wheelbarrow. "What's the matter?" asked Darbishire. "Archbeako and party, heading this way at 40 knots. Jennings fixed his eye to a chink in the wall. General Merridew and his host were standing together beside the cucumber frame. Mrs. Merridew and her son were at the far end of the garden looking at the lily pond. Jennings took cover as the General's deep tones boomed out. "Very fine display, Pemberton Oaks. This garden was always a picture in July, you know. I can remember the school photo being taken on this very spot the first summer term I was here, 1895 it was. I had my first Eton suit on and sat in the front row between Tubby Tickner and Tadpole Fitzarchway. Oh, yes." The General's eye was moist as he turned to his host and said, "I'd give a lot to be able to see that old photo again." "I can help you there," said the headmaster, eager to please his guest. "We've got every school photograph right back to the very first one. When we've finished our tour of the garden, we'll join Mrs. Merridew and Roger, and I can take you up to the attic and show you." Inside the potting shed, Jennings and Darbishire stared at each other in dismay. "Come on, Darby. Quick, if we hurry we may just have time," said Jennings in an urgent whisper. "What are we going to do?" "There's only one thing we can do. We shall have to take the glass off the cucumbers and beetle back with it before they reach the attic." The visitors passed out of sight, and the coast was clear as far as the gap in the hedge. Stealthily, the boys crept out of the potting shed and started to put the emergency plan into operation. They were back in school and hurrying along the downstairs corridor when the library door opened and Mr. Carter walked out. "Hello," he said. "Still taking pieces of glass for an airing?" Well, sir—" Jennings stopped. After all, what was there to say? Mr. Carter looked at him curiously and observed, You certainly think up some queer hobbies to occupy your free time. You'll have to come and take my French window for a breather when you've got nothing better to do." As Mr. Carter walked off down the corridor, Jennings and Darbishire mounted the stairs and hurried into the attic. Jennings put the glass back into the frame. The backing was the difficult part. The nails were rusty and kept breaking off, and they wasted precious minutes trying to bend them into position. They even took down some of the other pictures and tried to borrow some nails from them, but nothing would work properly, and the only result was that 3 unframed photographs were now spread out over the floor instead of one. "This is ghastly," said Darbishire, as the last nail snapped and failure became inevitable. "What are we—" He broke off and listened. Footsteps were ascending the stairs, and a voice was speaking. "Only a few more stairs, General. We're nearly there." And a moment later the latch clicked, the attic door opened with an ear-splitting screech, and M.W.B. Pemberton Oaks, Esquire, M.A. Oxon, ushered his distinguished guests into the room. For a moment the headmaster was too surprised to speak. Then, icily, he demanded, "What are you 2 boys doing in here?" Well, you see, sir, what actually happened was," Jennings began. But Mr. Pemberton Oaks was not prepared to spend the entire afternoon in the attic, and he broke in sharply. "Don't prevaricate, Jennings. I demand a straightforward answer to a simple question. What were you doing when I came in?" "I was putting a piece of glass in this picture frame, sir." The headmaster glanced at the repair work spread out over the floor and jumped to the only conclusion which seemed to fit the facts. "I see," he said slowly. "Yes, I consider that is a very creditable way of spending your leisure." And turning to his guests, he went on. "These boys, instead of wasting their half-holiday in idle pursuits, have elected to repair the old-school photographs as their good deed for the day." The General smiled approvingly. Already he was excitedly picking out his colleagues from the group in one of the photographs. "By Jove, here's old pie-faced Pottinger," he exclaimed. "He's doddering about in a bath chair now. Bless me, this is an old bonehead Blatterweather. I wonder what became of him." "You'd better run along now," the headmaster told Jennings and Darbishire, for he feared that the General's reminiscences might last some time. Mrs. Merridew thought the same, for she asked, "Do you think these boys might take Roger with them? He's getting rather bored trailing round with us." Yes, of course," the headmaster agreed. "You'd like to meet some of the boys, wouldn't you, Roger?" "No," said Roger. "But you'll have to get to know them if you come to school here, won't you?" "I don't want to come to school here. I don't like this place. I think it's horrid." "Oh, but I'm sure you'll like these boys," persisted the headmaster. He turned to Jennings and Darbishire. "Take Roger round the school and show him the things that will be of interest to him," he said. "Show him the books in the library, the scholarship honours boards, and the collection of sports trophies." Roger followed Jennings and Darbishire out of the attic, and as he did not seem disposed to talk, Jennings turned to Darbishire and said, "I've just thought of it. Robinson, the odd job man, he'll have a chunk of glass. Look, Darby, you take Roger and show him the sights, and I'll go and find Robinson." "Glass costs money, glass does," Robinson informed Jennings. "I will pay for it later," replied Jennings, "when I get my termly postal order." Grudgingly, Robinson led the way to the cupboard in the carpenter's shop where the glass was stored. Jennings selected a suitable piece and took his leave, murmuring voluble thanks as he went. He clutched the new pane to his chest and hummed gaily as he started off along the corridor. His humming broke off in the middle of a note as Mr. Carter walked round the corner. "You know, Jennings, this is getting monotonous," the master observed. "Every time I walk past the library, I meet you carrying a pane of glass. You haven't smashed 3 cucumber frames, have you?" Jennings gasped and said weakly, How did you find out, sir?" "I put 2 and 2 together, and they added up to Jennings and Darbishire continuing to play cricket near the Head's garden after being told not to. Why didn't you own up in the first place?" "Because of getting evening cricket stopped for the whole school, sir. I didn't want everyone to be punished again like they were about the huts, just because of me." Mr. Carter took a less serious view of the matter when he realised what had prompted Jennings' conduct. "Well, Jennings," he said slowly, "I shall put you on probation until this time tomorrow, when I shall see the headmaster and discuss the matter with him. Now, you'd better put that glass on the cucumber frame and then go out to the cricket field." "Oh, but I can't, sir. The head's just told me and Derbyshire and I." "Derbyshire and me," corrected Mr. Carter. "Yes, sir. He's told us to take this new boy Merridew round and show him everything." "He told you and Derbyshire to do that?" "Yes, sir." Mr. Carter blinked in surprise. Doubtfully, he said, "I see. Well, now you've got the chance to do something useful, Jennings. Mind you do it properly. When you're on probation, we take a keen interest in how you carry out little jobs of this sort." "Yes, sir. Thank you, sir." Jennings walked on, his mind brooding on what his housemaster had said. He would look after this Roger Merridew as a mother hen tends her favourite chick. He would spare no effort to interest and entertain him. He felt happier and just a little proud as he placed the glass on the cucumber frame, quite openly this time, for he had Mr. Carter's permission. Then he returned to the building to look for Derbyshire and Roger Merridew. Jennings and Darbishire showed Roger the library, the honours board and the sports trophies. They told him he would have 3 baths a week and that his fingernails would be inspected before every meal. They explained how many bad conduct stripes were needed for an afternoon's detention. In short, they did their best to prepare him for a normal school life. But the more they said, the more rebellious their guest became. As they left the main building and wandered towards the cricket field, Roger asked, "Don't you ever do anything nice at school? As far as I can see, you spend all day reading dreary old books and washing your hands." Derbyshire hastened to correct this impression. "Until last Monday, we used to build huts near that pond over there." "It was supersonic," Jennings added, and he painted an exciting word picture of a squatter's life in the hut colony before the ban was imposed. He spoke fondly of the ventilating shaft cum periscope. He dwelt on the joys of pontoon suspension bridges and touched on the delights of hut-warming parties where sardines and walnut cake were on the menu. Roger stood for a moment, open-mouthed and round-eyed. Then he said, "Come on, let's go over there now." "We can't, it's out of bounds," Derbyshire pointed out. "Yes, we'd better take you back to your mother now," said Jennings, turning back towards the quad. He and Derbyshire got some distance before they realised that their guest was not following behind them. Jennings glanced over his shoulder. "Hey! Oh no! Stop! Come back here!" he shouted. But Roger Merridew had a clear start of 50 yards and was streaking towards the woods as fast as his short legs would carry him. If those huts were anything like as good as they sounded, they would be well worth a visit, he thought.
Mark Williams was reading from Jennings' Little Hut by Anthony Buckridge, abridged by Roy Apps. It was a peer production for BBC Radio 4. The producer was David Blount.